Meanwhile, shout out to Zeph. Please don't cast Run Amok having an aneurysm. But that's the best time to cast Run Amok, though. Like, that's when we get the best Run Amok on stream. It's amazing. Oh, God. Fun fact, that was basically the last ANZ Chem qualifier. That was,
Was it Hut versus Run Amok? Was the last qualifying match?
It was Run Amok and Starduck. They played, and Starduck had some fun.
Vaguely remember that. Anyway, we are going to be kicking off our PvP pre-qualifier. That's too long. All right, our PvP round of 16. We're here in the bottom left-hand corner map, sweating all the way in the bottom left-hand corner. The teal Protoss player coming out from the land of Indonesia. He is representing Clan Elit's Quantel.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Jagannatha LE, we have the Pakistani Protoss player. He's green, competing in the DreamHack Oceania qualifiers for the very first time. It is ZAiN.
I think all our eyeballs are going to be gravitating towards the green player. Just get a bit of a sense of what he likes to do in the PvP matchup.
Right, like, I'm sure everyone is watching right now. What does ZAiN have to offer? Like, even, I'm sure there are people like Demi and Chase and like the pro players in the chat, they're like, yo, this guy's ZAiN, all right? What's he got? You know, like, how does he shape up to everyone? Because, you know, he could be a threat in the main events. Who knows?
Really could, but before that, he's going to have to qualify.
He definitely will.
Quantel definitely has a thing or two to say about that. I don't think ZAiN wants to play straight up against somebody like Quantel. If game number 1 of Quantel versus Psycho is any indication, he is more than happy to just play the straight out game and wait until he takes a favorable engagement.
I think that's a very important thing to point out, because a lot of those players who aren't necessarily used to our region, like T-Bull and Razorblader, in the first season of ANZ Champs that they competed in, they struggled a little bit against the more iconic players in the Southeast Asia region. You know, players like Mio Micah and Ender, they just weren't used to how they played. Now they have a little bit more experience. It's possible that Razorblader may have given ZAiN a couple of tips and be like, yo, this guy, like, you know, maybe you want to go for this, or maybe he's a little bit more cheesy. So maybe ZAiN was given a bit of a crash course, so he has a better idea. Regardless, he is going for that proxy.
Yeah, and it's super, it's pretty curious is how I'll describe it.
Exactly, and at the moment, Quantel just hasn't scouted yet. Quantel, he did go across the map for probe scouts, but again, nothing has really tipped him off. He is going out with these adepts, but one of them gets caught out by stalkers. Uh-oh.
Very quick and isolated, super important to get the shade off. Right now, Quantel is aware that ZAiN's on one base, but he's probably thinking, yeah, it's PvP. Who doesn't say on one base?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he himself is as well. We do have a shield battery on the low ground. We do have a couple more stalkers coming out here for Quantel. He does push away these stalkers, but again, these stalkers are just dealing a little bit more and more damage to those adepts. And mate, that immortal, it's out, it's done, and he shows himself.
Just like so, immediately just 3 shots of Stalker. I don't see much for Quantel to really hold this. The Void Ray is going to help out a ton, though.
Oh, yeah.
ZAiN has far from enough to start one-shotting the Void Rays, targeting down the Immortal.
Oh my god, some nice target fire there by Quantel. Actually, that Immortal taking some hold damage, and so far Quantel is holding well. He has a second Immortal on the way, he's got his Forge on the way, even confident enough to throw down a Nexus.
The balls in this man. He is undeterred by age-old wisdom.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a little bit concerned for Quantel. You know, I don't want him to be caught out here a little bit. He does expose himself, but okay, he does back off. Doesn't stray too far away from those shield batteries.
Yeah, still very much able to retreat when it gets inconvenient. War Pistol coming out, though, is absolutely massive here for ZAiN. He's going to be able to reinforce a little bit closer to the front lines. More importantly, he's got a lot more micro potential.
Yeah, Yeah, definitely. You know, that is some added value there. He has to be careful as well for it not to be too exposed and to be focused down by those Void Rays. Speaking of, we still only have 2. Actually, an Oracle shows up as well, not a 3rd Void Ray.
And it immediately reveals the Observer there. Gets taken out. ZAiN gonna have to fight blind if he wants to hesitate.
Oh god, he's diving in!
He might have just enough! He can start two-shotting the Void Rays! No battery overcharge here. The Nexus only now finishing up.
Oh god, that
and
it does.
Might be just enough for ZAiN.
Yeah, it looks like the Void Ray will be focused on. No, he switches to the Shield Battery instead. He's kind of a little bit indecisive there. There we go, the Shield Battery does fall. Now the Void Ray does as well. And ZAiN, does he have enough to really push on through? He did lose his Immortal.
Oh, he needs to be so careful with the micro here. He may just have barely enough. Quantel starting to pull the boys.
Oh god, he knows
that ZAiN have just enough.
I mean, he does have the overwhelming amount of Stalkers, but the boys have been pulled. Maybe Quantel can pull something off. He's trying to focus on the Warp Prism.
He isn't able to. Very fresh warp in here. Just not enough Stalkers for Quantel. The probes are doing a pretty good job for a while at zoning out the Stalkers ZAiN, but man, once he set in sight into protecting that Warp Prism, that was it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Warp Prism did go down, to be fair, but there's only 2 Stalkers left for Quantel. Like, mate, there's nothing else in the production tab. There's nothing else going his way. And it looks like, oh my god, ZAiN is going to depower the gateways.
Just like so. The only production left is the Robo and the Stargate, and that's going to take way too long. ZAiN is already here.
Wow.
But ZAiN isn't producing right now, so maybe there's a scenario where it doesn't matter. The pylon's gonna go down. There's no production.
Yeah, the only there's no way. There's no way. He does take down the final Stalker. GG gets called, and ZAiN takes game number 1.
And we were mentioning, you know, he probably should not play a straight up game against somebody like Quantel. You know, what does ZAiN like to do in PvP? How familiar is he? Turns out, it's pretty good at PvP.
Yeah, honestly, I thought Quantel had it. Honestly, like when he established his natural base, when he had 2 shield batteries, he had some Void Rays. I am a little bit concerned though when he stopped Void Ray production. Like that was concerning to me. Oh, yeah. Like come on, mate. Void Rays are pretty good. And I was worried just because that Stalker count was getting higher and higher to the point where he could 2-shot those Void Rays. Like that's why you need more of them. But I think Quantel he let down his guard a little bit too early there.
Yeah, he thought that the battery overcharge was going to be enough to save him, but he didn't have anything to save the battery overcharge. I will say about the Stalkers, ZAiN definitely had some very impressive control over there.
Definitely.
Without Blink, able to just back away when he knew that things were getting dicey, keep enough of Stalkers alive. If he had like 1 or 2 less Stalkers than he had, I don't think that game would have went his way. I think Quantel would have been able to take out the Warp Prism in time, would have been able to just go for a bit of a counterattack.
Definitely. Oh boy, and now we're getting into game number 2, and there's a very real scenario where ZAiN takes the series, mate. Like it's, oh boy.
It's very possible. We're going into Romanticite next. Does he want to play a straight up game on something that's more of a macro map, or is he going to take advantage of the map or take advantage of Quantel's potential false sense of security?
Yeah, we shall see. Meanwhile, before the game does start, I do want to give a quick shout out to Hornsley in the chat. Thank you so much subscribing with Twitch Prime for 5 months. Thank you so much. We appreciate the support. And yes, I think we're a week. We've been live for like a week now, like every single day, at least 2 times a day. We've been casting every single DreamHack qualifier we can. Oh boy, until finally we are here with the very first Oceanic one.
How he's figuring out the quacks.
Quack!
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 Skip, get the duck! I gave him a couple extra.
Go for it, mate.
Just because it was the right timing. In the bottom right-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the bottom right-hand corner of Romanticite LE. We have the teal Protoss player coming out from the land of Indonesia. He is, or was, very much a contender for NZ Champs for the format shift. Feels Batman. But he's going to be representing Clan Elids. He is Quantel.
spawning in the top left-hand corner of Romanticide LE, we have the Pakistani Protoss. He is green, currently representing himself, I believe it is ZAiN.
My eyes are glued on the minimap right now, Light. I see a probe moving around, okay, from Quantel this time. Yeah, but is it going to be cheeky, or is it just a scout?
I mean, so far they are just scouting each other, checking each other, if you will. No random probe out in one of the outskirts of the map. So we may see a more standard game here, and you were talking about it before, right? We're on Romanticide, you know, one of the larger maps in the map pool, and I like the idea of ZAiN having his debut here. Game 1, he shows off his cheese. Game 2, show off your macro, right? Like, you know, kind of prove yourself to the people, if you will.
That sounds a little bit more Spartan than than it perhaps should.
That's what this is, man. That's what DreamHack is,
Prove yourself to the jury right now.
Exactly. Who is this guy? Who is this random ZAiN who shows up out of nowhere? Mate, you gotta prove yourself, right?
You can't ride your brother's credentials. Not in DreamHack.
Exactly. Old mate Raza isn't here to hold your hand, mate, all right?
Yeah, Piglet proved that last year.
Exactly.
Nobody was giving him any special chances.
Yeah. Pig didn't even know his brother played mech. You know? It's like, what? That's all he does. Call you out, Pig. Oh, God.
I'll never forget about that.
Oh god, alright, let's go. As the game is getting underway, both players have gone for their expansions. Mate, we're actually getting 2 bases, at least. It's happening.
Dude. These players, they have no fear whatsoever. They heard the tales of what happens if you get the natural base too quick. Undeterred, getting a bit more of a macro game, and I have to wonder what their preferred macro styles are going to be. Quantel, it seems that he does still prefer going Stalker Immortal into Charged Archon. ZAiN, though, I think there's a lot of potential here for some disruptors to come out.
Yeah, I think that's important to note that obviously ZAiN, he competes more on the European server, right? He ladders there a little bit more as he does have better ping, so he may have a different unique style that may catch Quantel and some of the other Southeast Asian players off guard.
Already they're both going for the Twilight Council. Yeah, it's a definite maybe there.
Yeah.
Alright, both going for the Twilight Council, but where do we go from here?
Exactly, that's the real question so far. Both players going for Blink. Yeah, Quantel with the faster forge, though.
Do you think that means Quantel wants to be more aggressive this time? He did get a very quick forge in his game against Psycho, but he wasn't being too active. I guess he sort of knew that Psycho was going to be a little bit more aggressive, so he just wanted to go for more of a counterattack style.
Yeah. Part of me wants to say that, like, this gives Quantel a bit of more of an advantage because he will have faster upgrades with his Blink Stalkers. But at the same time, I will never forget, like, Gemini being upset at Zest because there were a couple of times in ESL Open Cup Asia where we would cast Zest versus Trap, and Trap would have like +2 and Zest would have 0-0 with his Blink Stalkers, and Zest would just not stop making Stalkers and just like win anyway.
I remember those.
And Gemini's like, what is happening right now? This doesn't make any sense. Like, this is, god damn it.
Well, quantity can be above quality when it comes to StarCraft 2.
It can.
The math is a little complicated there.
It can be weird like that in mirror matchups.
Yeah. I just positioned 7 tanks on top of the high ground. Your call, Terran opponent. Oh, I'm just gonna drop it to another location.
Yeah, exactly. I don't care where your tanks are, man. God. All right. And we'll see, as at the moment, yeah, they've both been pretty passive. They keep checking each other, you know, sending out these hallucinations to make sure no one's going for anything crazy, like a Fast Robotics Bay or a Dark Shrine or anything like that.
Yeah, both players really wanted to react to what their opponent's doing, but when neither of them are doing anything out of the ordinary, it's kind of a Spider-Man moment.
Exactly. I mean, again, only slight differences. You know, Quantel's Blink is about to finish up. Again, he has a faster upgrades, which means there is a small window here that he can utilize where his Stalkers will be at an advantage. But again, it is a very small window. You know, is he going to be able to utilize that to his advantage? Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah, when you're on a map like Romanticide, you really need to make sure the window is as wide open as possible to go for, to take advantage of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have a very narrow window of opportunity, you just gotta have your opponent fortify his position a little bit better.
Yeah. So they're both just kind of probing up again. This is very much like game 1 of Psycho versus Quantel. It's like, mate, really? Like,
yeah, the series has been that series, but in reverse.
Yeah, after how game 1 popped off. Okay, all right, fair enough.
But as you said, you know, ZAiN, he is wanting to prove himself to the jury.
Mm-hmm.
Man of the people, you could say.
Yeah, exactly. Oh boy. So yeah, they're just just got each other. I mean, ZAiN is deviating a little bit, you know? Yeah.
Oh, what a madman! He's insane!
But you know what? Quantel!
He's not exactly sound either!
Exactly!
Oh my god!
He's psycho! What?
He absorbed the psycho in him.
He did. They're both taking their forts. They're both getting 2-2. Well, +2, I should say. I guess now ZAiN is looking to be the aggressor here, as he is working on that warpism. So with that, he can go across the map. He can warp in offensively. He can maybe harass. So ZAiN showing the first signs of aggression. But this guy over here, he's gonna send warpism. So it's
does. But he's still being a lot less active than his opponent.
Yeah.
He could, I suppose, cancel that Nexus if he really needs to. He needs shield batteries in some base, regardless.
Mate, Quantel is so out of position right now. Like, Quantel is all the way on the other side of the map, and it looks like the 4th base will need to be cancelled.
Yeah, it's getting very, very close. ZAiN, does he blink? He does blink right on top of the warp prism. Quantel, you gotta cancel it.
Ooh.
He does just at the last second. No debris, because that is how that is how close it was to finishing up. Quantel coming in from multiple different angles here. Like, gets right on top of the warp prism, cancels the aggression.
He goes for the full surround. He gets the warp prism. He gets on top of those immortals as well. And ZAiN, he's getting torn apart here, but does he just barely have enough? It looks like he may? Question mark?
No. The Archons and Stalkers are back here from Quantel are starting to break through, and without the Warp Prism, no way for ZAiN to reinforce this. He has got to return tail between his legs.
Exactly. It was like a happy accident. Like, because Quantel's army was all the way here to the south, and he was forced to turn around to engage. Like, he ended up just surrounding the army of ZAiN. Like, ZAiN pushed too far forward, and yeah, really well done there by Quantel. But he was forced to cancel his 4th.
You say happy accident, I say fate. This has happened one too many times for Quantel, I feel like.
True.
He's got a guardian angel.
Oh my god. That angel is V for Vivaldi.
He is, apparently.
We'll see
how much... we'll see how much Vivaldi can really support him here, because there's only so much an angel can do. Yeah, ZAiN has a pretty decent position over here. Needs to get those shield batteries up and running, but he's got so many chargelets.
Yeah, exactly. To be fair, there are only a couple of volleys of all these Archons, and those chargelets will evaporate. What's important, though, is that Quantel is so pressured to actually do something about this 4th. He cannot let ZAiN get away with this economy.
He really cannot. His own 4th base, not even finishing up until now. They are about even on workers for the moment, so at the very least, Quantel is going to be able to start mining immediately. From that 4th, that Archon immediately gets surrounded.
Oh, Jesus. F's in the chat for that Archon.
That was a Jurassic Park moment.
Honestly, that's pretty huge. Like, imagine if Quantel had 5 Archons here, fighting together as one. Like, that would honestly be huge, but losing 1 Archon for free.
You don't even need that many volleys off, yeah.
Yeah.
One of the most expensive units that you can go for here when you're still on the gateway, when you're still on gateway tech. Thankfully, Quantel is transitioning now from that Robo Bay. I'm curious though, like, do you think he's gonna stick with Disruptors, which is the which is a standard thing to do in a PvP, or do you think he sees the amount of charge that's out right now, he thinks, you know what, Colossus actually not a bad option.
I don't think there's a wrong option. I think both work well here as all the chargers just go into this massive choke point. A lot of volleys going off, but you know what? The Archons are taking a lot of damage.
They are starting to get very, very bruised. It was one of those weird scenarios where ZAiN jumped right on top of the Archons there, forced his army into a choke point, but Quantel, in order to fire on those...
It's happening again.
No, in order to get those volleys off, he needed to expose the Archons, and the Archons got very bruised. It is happening again.
Yeah.
Getting a bit of a pseudo-base trade.
I mean, Quantel turns around, and once again, he loses his fourth base. He just cannot hold on to that fourth. Ay. Thankfully, though, Quantel does have, like, the tech advantage with these disruptors. How good are the Novas going to be? We're going to send them out, puppy!
He's got to turn around there, so isolated! Okay, decent volley over there. The disruptor super exposed, so light.
Oh my god, the first disruptor shot was pretty good, but the second one kind of whiffed, and now the chargers are getting on top of the army of Quantel.
I'm loving this light.
The chargers are struggling to really get any surface area on this army. Really good positioning there by Quantel, but it does expose his third base.
And ZAiN is in absolute control right now. Look at how oversaturated this third base is. He's trying to go for a couple of run-bys here and there, and he is taking out some probes here and there, but... when it comes to the main army, I still got to favor ZAiN a little bit. The Colossus is out now.
Yeah, the Colossus is out.
Doesn't have thermal ants, but it is the anti-zealot unit regardless.
Yeah, it's going to do a lot of damage here. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, those zealots of Quantel are actually dealing a lot of damage. Looks like 2 bases will fall, but at the same time, the chargers are getting on top of the Colossus. Oh god!
Really good throw, but it does get picked up right at the last second. Not enough anti-air here for ZAiN. I think he only has a couple of... yeah, he only has these Archons. And they have such a short range. They can't be... they're not...
He wants the Colossus! He wants it! He wants the Colossus!
Oh,
the Viper! Oh god, can he get it, the Archon?
Close. Very, very close, but there's only one Archon left. And Quantel has turned this game on its head. 72 probes died, like, I did not think the worker ticker goes up that high. He has only 5 left.
He has 5
ZAiN is down to 2 bases. So is Quantel.
But ZAiN does have the massive probe advantage. Even though ZAiN lost his nexuses, he was able to keep the majority of his workers alive, and that is absolutely insane. Meanwhile, Quantel, he does have a bit of a better army with his... I don't even know if I want to say that. Like, he has a Colossus, sure, but that's all he has, and it's almost dead, mate.
He went for...
oh my god.
He has a lot of... he had a lot of zealots to buffer. Keep that in mind.
He definitely had, mate. He lost every single zealot there to that one disruptor shot. The Colossus are falling. One falls, only one remaining here, and Quantel, oh god, it looks like that's it.
What a hard-fought match, but in the end, ZAiN, ZAiN, takes that series 2-0. Will now face either Hut or Azure. And at the end of that game, I have to ask one thing to the masses, to the crowds watching. Are you not entertained?
Wow, what a game there. Things took a long time to really ramp up. Let's be real here. You know, things were they were passive for a solid like 15 minutes there. But when things turned on, they just never turned off. It just went up to 11, mate. And I mean, there were good moments for both players, but at the end of the day, obviously Quantel's biggest downfall is his lack of map vision, right? So many times he was caught out of position, he wasn't prepared for the army to attack, and every single time he would suffer as a result. GG.
I call it Starduck syndrome. He makes observers now, though.
Feels bad, man. You're very right about that. It's starting.
He's starting to make observers. He's starting to make observers.
Yeah.
I'm sure NXZ and Chase and everyone else that started practices with can attest to that. It's definitely gotten a lot better on getting map vision. But we are not going to be casting Starduck as of yet. Hopefully we will in one of these qualifiers. Hopefully in both of these qualifying matches, we'll be able to cast both Starduck and Oreo. But for now, we are going to have a PvP on our hands. Hut versus ZAiN in the pre-qualifiers.
Yes, and this is a very interesting result because Hut versus Azure is a very exciting series because of how historic it is. Like Hut's back, and he's competing again. I legitimately was not expecting Hut to take down Azure. Azure has been practicing very hard recently. He's been laddering a lot, as opposed to Hut, who has been playing a lot of Titanfall 2.
Lately it's been Age of Empires.
And a lot of Hut has been playing a lot of Age of Empires, mate. Let me tell you.
Titanfall thrown in. That's probably how he got. I think we have established on it. That's why Hut is so good at Terran.
Mm-hmm.
He has the experience from escaping Tarkov. Now he knows what it's like to be a Thor pilot.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about the FPSs. That's why Seether's so good as well. But yeah, Hut hasn't been as consistent as someone like Azure. So it's very surprising to see Azure got 2-0'd. My heart goes out to Azure. Feels bad, man. Azure is deserving to be qualified. He was in the running to be seeded in the next round, and he had to play a tiebreaker against Demi, and I believe that went to the ace match. He's a very strong player. Ooh, but Hut did take him out in the end. Sorry, it didn't go to the ace match. It was a best of 5. But regardless, oh god, it's a shame to see Azure fall so early, and I have no idea what to expect from Hut right now.
Probably some memes.
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised if Hut cheesed Azure out, to be honest. I would not be surprised.
You think he just went 3 Rex Reaper every single game? Let's go.
It's possible. It's very possible. Again, Hut is a very unique player in that respect, but he's also a lot of fun to cast. Very fun to cast, and I can't wait to see how he does here. Again, can anyone stop this young man ZAiN?